Hey, Road Runners, welcome back. It's the Lip Medallion. It's preview to UAB. Now, if anything I am, you can call me consistent, right? So I don't just change my viewpoints based on something that happened last week. I have viewpoints based on what I see, my own eyes throughout the season. So I had this win for us tomorrow. UAB, that was my prediction. Us beating UAB. Most everybody believed that. But I'm going to give you a case to where while this was one of the three wins that I predicted, it may work against us. Now here's the thing. UAB, sure, UAB is what? 2-4. 1-1 in conference. So they've had two conference games to our one conference game. We're 2-3. We've had a bye week. They opened up with USF. Sorry, they opened up with Georgia Southern. So they had at least an FCS opponent, right? Pretty sure Georgia Southern is still FCS. They might be transitioning. I don't know. I could be wrong. But what UAB is able to do is move the ball up and down the field and score points. Let's not act like Houston is some defensive stalwart, because they're not. You saw what they gave up to Rice. You saw how they had to win against West Virginia. Let's look at our first game, Houston. Then our second game was Texas State. We struggled to score 20 points against Texas State. Right? Now we played Tennessee with our backup QB, right? Frank wasn't again in there against Tennessee. They played UGA, right? Georgia. They scored 21 on Georgia, though. Now, if I look at that game, and I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to see how they scored, right? So they actually put 14 points in the second quarter. So the game at the half was 28-14, right? And then Georgia pulled away in the second half. So there's a lot of similarities. And this is not, for me, I hate to say it, but this is not boding well. And I'm going to stick against better judgment. I am sticking with my prediction that this is one of our three wins, right? Because I'm telling you, this doesn't look good for us. Here's why it doesn't look good for us. They're averaging 451 yards total offense. Mind you, they played Georgia. They played USF, who handled defending Alabama. They played Tulane. So this isn't as easy of a game as people think. And I'm still going with the W here. I think, well, let me talk about why I'm sticking with it, for one. But they're giving up 439 yards allowed, okay? That works better for us. But we're still giving up 414 yards. But we're only doing 392 yards of total offense on average. But that's without Frank, right? What gives me hope, and the reason why I'm sticking with this, was the play of our offensive line. I know our offensive line has had issues all season long. It's a recurring theme that our offensive line, the past 4 seasons, we have been snake bit with not being able to find that magic potion, that magic combination, and it just stays that way for us. We're constantly having to shuffle offensive linemen in and out. Now, because we can, Frank has helped us get away with that, right? But that also means that our guys are being coached pretty well. Because they're not, even when they played bad, right? And didn't necessarily play up to the standard that we were used to earlier this season, they didn't play terrible. Yes, they struggled to run block. They didn't struggle to run block against Temple. That was kind of nice to see. So Frank had a lot of time to get the ball out. He got that ball out to McEwen very nicely. Maybe we found our number 3 receiver, right? Because you have to go with Kellogg and Cephas as 1 and 2, right now. I don't know what's happening with Clark. Maybe Clark comes back, but don't be surprised if he just sits out the whole season, right? Don't be surprised if he doesn't just practice with the team, recondition that knee, because that was terrible what he went through, right? The guy's got next level talent. You guys can see with your own eyes. You've seen it. Those aren't plays made by guys who can't play at the next level, right? What him and Zakari were doing. Those are plays made by guys who can play at the next level. So don't be surprised if he sits out the entire year and maybe red shirts and then decides to transfer for NIL. Don't be surprised if that happens. Don't be surprised if he declares and then shows out that he's completely healthy. Don't be surprised. All those options are on the table is what I'm saying. And we got to focus with who we have. We got Cephas, we got Kellogg, we got McEwen. McEwen had a nice game, right? And our running back core is still solid. Kavorian, they got to stop spinning the ball, spiking the ball. You got to stop that. That's not allowed. Because those hurt us more than we need to admit, because that made the field a lot shorter for Temple. Made it a lot shorter for Temple, and that's not good for our defense. Now let's talk defensive side of the ball. Our defensive line is good. They're playing great. They really are. We missed Trey Moore. We haven't backfilled, and I was worried about this. We haven't backfilled Mayfield. We haven't backfilled Chapman, right? We haven't backfilled, Tariq, right? Woolen. We haven't backfilled those guys, and so you are seeing a little step down, a little. Not up to the par we're used to, right? Now, we did get that transfer, and he has played well at times, but I think the rest of the team is just not there yet, right? Now, that doesn't mean they won't get there. And maybe we just survive, just keep surviving, just keep surviving, just keep surviving. And then as the season goes on, all of a sudden, they've matured, they've improved, they've become a team, a defensive team that's starting to understand their assignments a lot better, right? This is still a tough game for us. They're going to need everybody in the stadium is going to have to be there, be loud, just make it so obnoxious that UAB can't hear, right? But trust me, UAB wants us. And UAB wants us bad, right? They owe us. They want redemption, right? What we did to them. Yeah, that was beautiful, wasn't it? And then we went out there and took it to them the very next year, right? They lost a heartbreaker to us in 2021, and then 2022 we went out and we just took care of business, right? Got their coach fired. Now they got Trent Dilfer as a head coach. He's bringing cachet as a former NFL player. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if they did the transfer portal thing. I can't remember. Someone comment. Let me know if they did the transfer portal thing, because it wouldn't surprise me if they did. That's been very common for a lot of schools, and this is what I think separates Jeff Traylor from other coaches and other coaching staffs, right? He's been successful with what he was given. He's bringing in kids. Yeah, they're transfers, right? But they're junior college transfers, or maybe it's just a kid who's not getting the playing time that they want, and they're coming to our program, and they're playing great. They're playing really solid football for us. They're getting coached up. But you're not seeing kids leave because unhappy with our coaching staff. And that there's a lot to be said about that when it comes to building a program, keeping a program going forward, especially if you're winning. Look, we can still win 7 games, and I'd be happy. I'm telling you, seven victories. I'm still happy with what this team's been through. Yeah, it'd be nice to win out, to go undefeated, right? That'd be pretty darn cool, right? But that's hard to do. I don't know if you noticed Tulane and Memphis playing tonight. Tulane's got some big wide receivers, man. Woo. And so that means we're going to have to get pressure on their quarterback with our linemen and our linebackers. I do know this. Not having Trey Moore in the game playing and not having Dadrian Taylor out there. And it's just Danye. Basically, it was just, when it comes to experience, it was just Danye out there, right? When it comes to impact players. And it's just injury bug, whatever it is, right? It's just something that this team has to overcome. And to be honest, and to be completely fair and and transparent, they kind of have, right? They kind of have. Yeah, I'm still stinging about that Army loss. Can't lose the Army. I'm gonna say it. I'll probably say this in every video. You're gonna get tired of hearing me say it, but can't lose to Army. We can't have a all-time losing record to Army. We've got to turn that around at some point. I'm just saying. I thought maybe we had, right, with that victory last year, and then finally we just learned how to beat them, right? Okay, so what do I think? I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I really do. Expect it to be something like 42-39, 35-32. And in this new clock era, right, the pro modified pro clock, it's that those are high-scoring games. I know we're seeing them, but those are high-scoring games, right? I think the 55 to 52 games are probably gone. But 42-38, 42-39, 42-35. Well, hell, it was 49-34 against Temple. So we have 34 points, Temple. That's cause for concern. Anyway, Roadrunners, look, I suspect a 5-point victory in a shootout. I really do. I think Frank is just mobile enough. He's not himself. You saw when he ran, he's not himself. That toe is just, he's not himself. You could tell he couldn't run as fast as he normally would. Plus all those surgeries that he's had. They talked about in the Temple game where he's had 3 this year alone. 3. That wears on you. Look, we get so used to, he recovered from his knee, he recovered from his shoulder. Let me tell you something, man. You start those aches and pains, everybody's injured. Everybody's banged up, right? That's true. But not everybody has 3 surgeries in a year. Not everybody tears up both knees, a shoulder before that, right? It just starts wearing on you. Maybe that's why he didn't play so good against Houston. Chances are you can attribute it to that, right? Because he played pretty good against Texas State, but they were hitting him pretty good too, right? We didn't protect him very well. So let's get this offensive line, these issues figured out. Let's see one stat. I'm going to look up one stat if you don't mind. Stick with me for a little bit. Right? So that's that. Let me see. Team stats. I had to back out. Let's see. Team stats. Let's see if they get me down here to, here we go. Click on UAB. Stats. Here we go. Real quickly. Defense. So they've had 14 sacks on the season. Is that right? Yeah. They have one guy, Penn, who's had 3. looks like they really get all their sacks with their linebackers, which is kind of common, right? But we do pretty good with our defensive linemen if we look at that. Let me look really quick what our stats are for our defensive line. I wish I could sort this real easy. We've had 13 sacks. Booker Brown 1.5, Simon, Matterson, Bell. But Moore has 4. That's what's killing us, not having Moore out there playing. But we seem to do better with our defensive line getting pressure and sacks. So that's where I'm going with this. I think our offensive line is coming together. I think our defensive line can get some pressure on them. We got to get stops, though, right? We can't let wide receivers roam free down the sidelines, over the middle of the field like we've been doing. Anyway, Roadrunners, peace out. See you in the Dome. 7 p.m. game. It's a late game. We're on TV. Woohoo! Peace out.